I want to open this video by telling you guys a story about a kid named Sam. Sam was a YouTuber. 2009, 2010, 2011 or so. Sam was the YouTuber, some people will say. That in the realm of Call of Duty, when that game first really hit YouTube, from Excalizors to Blame Truth, when they first blew up the Call of Duty commentating scene and then everybody else jumped on board, that Sam was the YouTuber. And I would say by subscriber count, no. By viewer count, definitely. If you were someone who was trying to blow up on YouTube and Call of Duty, Sam was the guy you wanted giving you a shout out. If you were trying to blow up your YouTube channel in Call of Duty, Sam was the guy you wanted to have you featured on their channel. Yeah. Sam was the guy you wanted to reach out to you and say, hey, like, come on and do a dual commentary. Like, Sam's the guy you wanted for that. The reason why Sam's channel blew up the way it did originally was Modern Warfare 2. Like, a lot of people's channels blew up during Modern Warfare 2. Like, that wasn't really a really huge thing. The reason why Sam's channel blew up the way that it did really came by way of Black Ops 1. And the reason why was because at the time you had Machinima, right? You had like the Machinima company, which is now defunct if the total lack of videos on their channel is to be believed. But you originally had Machinima. And then under Machinima, you had a bunch of subgroups. You had like Machinima Sports and like Machinima Arena, I think, and then like Machinima Respawn. Machinima Respawn was the house built by C. Nanners, Hutch, and Mr. Sark, right? Like that was their first person shooter element. So Halo and Call of Duty, and I think maybe Battlefield 3, I don't remember off the top of my head. But Machinima Respawn held a 24-hour live stream in order to get to Commander in Black Ops 1. That's the highest rank you can achieve. It's prestiging 10 times. So you got to go through all the ranks like 10 times in order to get to that position. It took them 15 days. It took Machinima Respawn 15 days of streaming 24 hours, 7 days a week in teams in order to get to 10th, in order to get to Commander. Sam beat them there. He beat them to Commander. And people were just blown away by that. They were like, holy hell, like I can't believe that Sam managed to pull that off. And so for those few people out there who didn't know who he was, now they knew. And that pushed his channel to even higher levels of popularity. The problem was that Sam was young. He was 16, 17, 18 years old when everything really, really started to blow up, when it hit its peak for him. And he wasn't really ready for the kind of success that brought on. Ultimately, Sam started making a series of less than intelligent decisions when it came to his money. In 1 month, he spent his earnings on a Mercedes. And then he put money aside for his college tuition, one of which was a good idea. The other one was not the best idea. And their car just slid into the curb. But the other one was not a very good idea. You know, he ended up moving out to Los Angeles, paying upwards of $3,000 a month for an apartment, which is really kind of unavoidable unless you're going to rent somebody's closet. But I wouldn't advise moving out to Los Angeles if you don't have to. And then ultimately, Sam got addicted to drugs. Now, all this comes from Sam's tell-all, this video he made where he revealed everything that went on with him, and I'll link it down in the description so you can see it. But, at least assuming it's still up, I think it is. But the result was that, by his own admission, Sam believed that his fame would never run out, that the money would never come to an end, that he was on this gravy train, he was on Easy Street, and that there was nowhere to go but up. And Sam was wrong. The funny thing about Sam's channel is his viewer base was dedicated, hardcore. Even now, having uploaded 3 videos, I think, in like 2 years, Sam still has 830 some odd thousand subscribers. He could upload a video right now and get anywhere between 40 to 50 to 60,000 views and be right back into the algorithm. If he brought it all together, I have no idea what Sam's doing, nobody really does, but if he brought it all together and said, let's get back into Call of Duty commentating, starting with Black Ops 4, and he's posted up the same gameplays and tips and tricks and so on and so forth and that kind of stuff, he'd blow his channel not necessarily back up to where it was before, because Call of Duty's not as popular as it used to be, but he'd certainly be able to blow it right back up and get right back to where he was. Maybe not as close, but certainly probably better than where he is right now. As I understand it, he's at home living with his parents, and I don't know if he's got any prospects or anything. I wish the best for him, but this, I feel like, is the YouTube trap. The YouTube trap for young people. The trap that people fall into where they believe that it'll never end. The party will never come to an end. I mean, you saw that hashtag, you know, when everything popped off with the New York Times and, you know, taking PewDiePie and all that kind of stuff and, you know, all the politics of it, whatever. You know, but you guys saw that when it was like hashtag the YouTube party is over. You know, and then YouTube had to start implementing these heavy-handed policies and just kind of generalizing everything and taking channels left and right and then saying, sorry about your luck, everybody, you know, and so on and so forth. But On a smaller scale, I think the trap that young people fall into is they assume that once they hit it on YouTube, once they get big, that it'll never end. They'll grow forever and ever and ever and ever. That there's no bottom to that well they're in. Oh, this viewer base, there's an infinite number of fans, and this viewer base will be around forever, and so on and so forth. But people age out. Trends change. Call of Duty was the hottest game on the planet for like 3 years. On YouTube anyway. Not across the board, but on YouTube, it was like the hottest game on the planet for like 3 years until it wasn't. Until people stopped caring. Until we started getting Let's Plays and people were looking at other games, and then Justin.tv became Twitch.tv, and then, the rest is history. So if you're a person who's made their bones on YouTube, that's making money, and I mean money, like more money than you ever imagined in your life. Like you're getting 30 to 40,000 views a video, and you're making some cash. Do not fall into the YouTube trap. Do not fall into that trap. Do not fall into the mistake of believing that YouTube money will be there forever. That the YouTube fan base, your fan base will be there forever. They'll age out. Their interests will change. They will move on. It's not because they hate you, unless you do anything to piss them off like Sam did. Sam, because of his drug addiction, would go through and start espousing these crazy philosophies and just kind of alienated his fan base, is really what that turned into. But unless you started doing crazy things, starting an obscene amount of drama, turning your fan base on you, which is the risk you take when you're a drama channel, that your fans could turn on you like that, in an instant. I can't snap. When that happens, sure, that's a factor, but the most likely scenario is that your fans will just age out. Their interests will change, they'll move on, they'll start lives, they'll get girlfriends, boyfriends, and they'll start pursuing other passions, their own passions. Maybe they decide to start their own YouTube channel, they don't really have any time to watch yours anymore. Maybe the game that you play isn't really interesting to them anymore. Any number of things could happen. And that's really the nature of YouTube. If you're a person who does voiceover, maybe you get into a car wreck and it damages your vocal cords, and you're not able to do the same gig anymore. And that's how your channel goes belly up. Any number of things could happen. And so because of that, you have to assume YouTube will not be there. You have to assume that at any point in time, your channel could go belly up. That YouTube could shut it down, that some gaming company could come along and do 3 strikes, that because YouTube doesn't really care about how their content ID system works, that somebody could come along and just strike 3 of your videos, and that's the end of that. Those of you guys who don't know, YouTube's content ID is the Wild West. They implemented it, then they don't really manage it. It's just kind of there, and then people abuse it, and YouTube doesn't really care about how it works or anything. But the fact remains that YouTube, your YouTube channel could end at any point. I don't say that to be cynical. I don't say that to be an asshole. I say that because you need to plan accordingly. You need stability. Your first act in setting, like when your YouTube channel really starts to blow up, your first act needs to be setting money aside to buy a house or buy a condo or something like that. Buy something outright so you own that property in cash. That's a huge amount of security, because here's what would happen. Let's say you bought a house outright and there's no HOA fees, so you don't have to worry about paying homeowners association fees every month. So you own your house outright, right? You have property taxes, which in Kentucky they're like $1,000 a year, depending on, it's like $1 per $1,000, so depending on how much your house is. Like the house that I bought was like 169 grand, so that was what, like $1,600 a year or something along those lines. You buy that piece of property and you own it outright. All right. Your channel gets shut down. What do? You go and work part-time and just play video games all day long. Maybe you go work full-time. Well, you get that security under your belt so that you don't have to worry about that anymore. You don't have to worry about asking the question, where will I live if YouTube fails? That's not your question you need to ask anymore. Set money aside for college. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, set money aside for college and go to college. Major in something. I mean, you're a YouTuber, so you essentially have more free time than most anybody could ever imagine. Unless you're a vlogger and you're spending, 12, 13 hours a day recording and editing footage, then for the most part, you have it pretty easy. I mean, if you're a YouTuber, maybe you're a Twitch streamer, you stream for 8 hours a day, maybe less, 6 hours a day, depending on how big your audience is. You take some gameplays, you throw them on YouTube, and you're done. Simple enough. I'm a YouTuber, believe me, I know how easy and how hard it can be. That's what you need. You need that security. After those things are done, take money aside and literally just start putting it towards retirement. Because with the situation that you're in, you're past the point where you have the luxury of being able to do what you want to do. Now you're in the position where you have to do what you need to do. I mean, that's my philosophy. Okay, so take me for example. As a man, my philosophy is that when it comes to like money, when it comes to finance, when it comes to my role, my gender role, whatever you want to call it in this world, my job is to make sure that my family's okay. The family that I'll have one day is to make sure they don't have to worry about being homeless, or they don't have to worry about struggling or anything along those lines, to minimize that to the best of my ability, to provide for my family. What they do is on them. That's my job. If they want to work, they can work. If they don't want to work, they don't have to work. But my job is to make sure my family's okay. That's how I view myself. My job is to make sure there's money there for retirement. My job is to make sure that we have a roof over our head, that we have clothes on our back, and food in our mouth. That's my job, to provide for my family. I don't know if that's a philosophy that you guys would adopt, but the first step to doing that, if you're a successful YouTuber, is to set that money aside. Save it. Invest it. I mean, you really don't want to have to go back and work a 9 to 5, do you? I doubt you do. I don't. That's the last resort. But take that money, set it aside, save it, invest it, do whatever you need to do. But make sure that your stability is guaranteed. Make sure your financial future is as solvent as it can be. Make sure that you're okay. Yeah. Because you're in a position right now that most people will never be in. And you're in a position right now that you may never be in again. And you don't want to be one of those YouTubers who looks back on your entire careers, as short as it was, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, however long it was. You don't want to be one of those guys who looks back and the only thing you have to show for it is the statement, I was famous once. You don't want to be one of those guys. You want to be one of those guys who can sit down and say, here's what I have to show for YouTube. Like, I own my house outright and I have money sitting in retirement and I just live off the interest and I don't have to work for the rest of my life. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I do what I want, when I want, how I want. Because I've worked my way to this point. Because I was smart with my money. So, with that being said, guys, we're going to bring this video to an end. And, yeah, I will catch you all later. Peace.